We're starting tonight by saying that our hearts go out to everyone affected by the war in Ukraine, no matter where they are from. I'm Sandy.
And I'm John.
And this is your Smart Doll News.
Happy Monday, everybody. We're glad to see you back here joining us. For those of you joining us live, thank you for spending your time with us. For those of you who are watching this in the replay, you should join us sometime. It's fun. I understand. There's, time zones, whatever.
We are happy to be able to be here with you tonight, and we are looking forward to getting started.
Yeah, we are adding some new content in this evening. I think I don't know that we're making an attempt specifically to be more newsy, but it's going to happen a little bit today. And it's just been a weird, different week for news. Mm-hmm. But of course, before we do that, I do want to give a shout out to a few people, and I'm calling them something a little different this week, so be prepared. Our Super Smarties!
Y'all get your own nickname!
Thank you, Raven Ghoul and Janice Harding. Last week, you saw fit to do some super chats, or some, actually with you guys, I think it was some super stickers, and help support the channel. We greatly appreciate it. If you want to help support the channel as well while you're watching, feel free to send us a super chat. It is definitely a way to get our attention amidst all of the chat that's scrolling by. And we'll make sure to give you a shout out on the air, or definitely in the beginning of next week's, just like this. So, that being that, let's dig into the news. Doll economics.
Probably, one of the biggest stories this week.
Yeah, and technically has very little specifically to do with Danny or Culture Japan or anything in their control. But for those of you living specifically in the United States, the Japanese yen has been falling a lot in comparison to the U.S. dollar. That means that now is an even better time to buy a new doll from Culture Japan, at least if you are in the United States. I have admittedly not looked into any of the exchange rates with other countries or anything like that.
It also means, on the other side of that, it also means that it's kind of a bad time in the U.S. to be selling a second-hand doll, especially one that is still available on the Culture Japan store.
Yep.
Because you probably paid a lot more for it, and someone can order it directly from Japan for a lot less.
Right. Right now, a smart doll costs the equivalent of essentially $420. And I remember when we first started a year ago, and you can actually see the trajectory in this chart. A year ago, it was, about 500 there, 490, 500, something like that.
Yeah. So we paid about $500 for our dolls. I think they were even up to like $525 or something like that at one point. Yeah. And now they're down to approximately $420.
Now, just to be clear, this is the current exchange rate being listed by Google. That is not necessarily going to be what you pay, because of course there's international, like there's bank fees and things like that that do get attached to the exchange rate. But if you haven't watched our Before You Buy video, you should check it out. One of the tips we do give in there is that, if you have a decent credit card that gives you benefits like no
foreign transaction fees, etc.
Definitely utilize those when you're checking out at PayPal. If I don't remember, PayPal will just convert it for me, and I know I'm paying a higher rate than if I just charged the yen to my credit card.
Right, and you can see more details about that in the Before You Buy video. That does need a little bit of an update, but it's still pretty valid information in terms of general buying.
Yeah. So, something to keep your eye on. I know some of you don't need more reason. You're trying to avoid buying a doll right now, and this doesn't necessarily help the temptation. But this may keep going. I hope it doesn't obviously keep going, that it actually impacts, Danny at some point. But for now, good for us.
Yeah, I mean, it could mean that he increases the cost of the dolls at some point.
Right. Again, it really depends on the rest of the Japanese economy and how it is affected by this.
So in the U.S., we were particularly fortunate with it right now, whereas like in Europe, although our dollar is not as worth as much as the euro, they have to pay all kinds of extra taxes on their purchases from Japan. Yeah. So.
Lee says it's saying 425.31 on the website. Yeah, you're not going to know exactly what it is until you either get the quote from PayPal or you charge it through to your to your credit card.
And that could be, I don't know, that could be including the PayPal fees. I'm not sure.
Yeah, either way, they use a calculation to it.
Right.
Then there's other calculations and how often they're updated and when they're based off of. In the end, the trajectory is what I concern myself with more, and not necessarily the specific price.
Right.
So, we've got the yen and how it is against the dollar, but there's another economic sort of impact that has been happening, and that is all as a result of the invasion of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Slate reported that a popular craft has been devastated by Etsy's ban on Russian sellers. So, last week, Etsy suspended all Russian seller accounts, and this particular article is actually looking at the cross-stitch sort of community.
Sort of a weird community to be looking at, but
it's a large community. Cross-stitch digital patterns and things are very big.
Yes.
And it's very big in Russia. We all know that dolls are also fairly big in Russia. Both actual artists who are making dolls. The dog, the one-of-a-kind dog doll.
My Benny came from Russia.
Yep. And they have a long history of both doll making and other crafts like this, and they pretty much overnight got shut down. Cheetah Shine, one of the first places that we've purchased I think doll t-shirts from, basically most of our novelty tees for dolls came from
them. Yeah.
Gone. Tea and Toe, we just recently bought a leather jacket for London, our ambition. Yep. The Menagerie Art dolls, which is what we just mentioned, the artist who did that wonderful doll of Benny. So this is happening, it's pervasive. You have a shop, you're registered, you're from Russia, gone. And a lot of this is it's kind of scary, obviously, to us buyers.
Mm-hmm.
People on the Discord were, concerned about things that they just bought. We've all been talking.
I gotta imagine it's more scary to the people that have these shops.
Right. So this is what Etsy has actually officially said. Due to expanding business restrictions, including multiple payment processors and credit cards ceasing operations in Belarus and Russia, Etsy has suspended shops in Belarus and Russia. They've basically sort of started to somewhat lock things down, and on April 4th, they will have no access. Mm-hmm. So it's they've shut the things down. and then they will lock people out of the entire system. So what they have said is, to basically fulfill all your orders, everything that you've got going, get those done before April 4th.
That's hard when you're dealing with people that like have things that take months to make.
Yeah.
Too. They've had to, like they might have had a big contract and then had to refund the money,
So they do say if somebody asks for a refund and they paid by PayPal, you need to direct them to PayPal for additional support. And they need to go that way. So something to think about if you are in this situation and you have an open order with a Russian store, you may need to just talk to PayPal. But it's very clear here that largely PayPal is a big aspect of why they're getting shut down. You can see the New York Times put out a whole list, like an ongoing updating list of all the companies that are pulling out of Russia, and the big ones here are American Express, MasterCard, Visa. I couldn't find them in there, but we do know PayPal as well.
They've basically locked Russia into its own category, so they can do stuff within Russia, but you can't use a MasterCard to buy something from Russia, and somebody from Russia can't use MasterCard to buy something from you.
Yeah.
So it's basically been locked into, it's basically a financial wall that's been put around them. So it's actually, while people have been, some people have been automatically assuming Etsy's the bad guy, they're really not. Their hands are kind of tied. Yeah,
there's if they kept it open, you would have a lot more issues with people not being able to use, PayPal and things like that. And I guess specifically Etsy Payments, I believe, is their payment thing, and they are not launched in many countries. They have a small specific list of where they're launched. Now, on the other side, this is an old story. This is from the end of February, but I do want to mention, that Etsy isn't just, hunting down Russian, sellers or anything. One of the other things that they did do was wipe out $4 million in Ukrainian seller balances. Basically, the fees and anything outstanding, they
just got rid of it.
Gave them financial amnesty, essentially, so that they're not going to, whatever's happening right now, they're not going to have to worry and come back to a bunch of fees. So that is the end of our foray into big news, big world news. And again, our heart does, go out to everyone impacted by this, because while the countries around the world do what they need to do, it's not just impacting the government or the leaders that they're trying to target. It's impacting the people. Mm-hmm. So, getting into the CJ news. Culture Japan, Danny put out not much in the way of secret fun behind the scenes pictures this week,
but some legit stuff and explanations.
Yes. So the first is North. This is North. She is a new face that Danny previewed, all decked out in her Solar Marine uniform.
That cape just adds so much to the Solar Marine uniform.
Yeah, we saw the cape last week. We're now seeing it on dolls. It looks so good. It's very, very Star Wars, especially in the volcanic.
Star Wars, or old 70s, early 80s Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
they had those capes with the big thing on them.
Love it. I love her. I've already given her a name, by the way. She will, she's on the list, emptied out. I was done, and she is first on the new list.
Yep. And he turned around and said to me, "I've already got her name, and it's a good one. I like it."
So we'll see if it sticks, of course. But let's take a look at some sneak peeks that Danny showed of the pieces there. This is the little like box that is attached to the utility belt, or like
snack pack.
the snack pack. Yeah. So he's working on getting those ready. And he did say specifically, although I think it was on a different post, he said specifically that these were not being sold with it. So these were the cape, the belts, assumedly with these packs. These are going to be sold separately. And before I mention the other piece, I did want to talk about one thing that Danny mentioned here. Danny goes into detail again about the process of like the electroplating process, creating the paint masks for the faces. And he said something pretty interesting and exciting. He said that this face had 2 more masks
coming
after the primary one that we see here. Mm-hmm. So that says this girl's coming out of the gate with expressions, and I cannot wait. I love to see that he's actually designing a doll up front with multiple face masks in mind.
Yeah, that's really cool. But I mean, can we just take a minute to look at this face? How good is this face? Those eyebrows are awesome, for one thing. I love the makeup. I love the slight upturn of the lashes on the outside. I'm like, I really love this face. I love her mouth.
I love the sort of the juxtaposition of the really hard, like thick, smooth upper lid makeup with then the lashes coming out the bottom.
It's very like 60s vibe, like, or it almost leans into like vintage Barbie, like with that heavy line. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I cannot wait for her. She is really, really, really good. And lastly, of course,
another shot of the cape.
So all this is in production. What we saw should be the master, most likely. So she's off, sacrificing herself for the greater good.
I'd like to see that cape in like a green that goes, or a brown that goes with the there's the third color of the uniforms that he did, the sort of forest green one. I'd love to see a green or brown cape like that. That would look really cool.
Yeah, oh, and I should mention, because we didn't specify, North is the code name. This is an early development doll. North is her code name. Assumedly, her code name is probably actually the Japanese word for North, would be my guess.
But not necessarily.
Possibly not, but usually he kind of...
This girl was Aoi.
Right, and then she became Future, which is her actual name. We didn't see a separate...
Right, but her code name was Aoi, which does not mean Future.
Right, what I'm saying is North is her code name. We know that. That's not her real name.
Right.
Which, it's an English name.
Right, that's true.
And so... with an English name, he almost always has a Japanese name to call them. So either it's like the sort of, katakana, the sound of North, or it would be just like the Japanese word for North.
It's Kita, I believe is how you say North in Japanese. Something like that.
Okay. I did not look it up before here.
I did. Kita. Is one. Though there's a couple
say
ways
it loud
to say
and proud.
Kita, is how you say it in Japanese. But there's a couple ways actually. But that's the more used one, evidently. Yeah, we have a couple theories on what her. So we always, whenever we see these code names, we always go into. I wonder what Danny name is the doll's actual name.
Right, because Danny at this point largely names the girls after sort of concepts.
Right.
Strength, like internal mental concepts.
So I have one. I have an idea, but we'll see if I'm right or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh! Whoa! Where'd you come from? So, what the Chigurumi, as we like to call it, has to say is, hey, are you enjoying the news? If you are, you should give this video a like, and so we can help spread this to more and more people. And I think I'd love to see, you know, I mean, it's a big week for news, but I'd love to see more people watching the news every week.
Yeah, it would be really fun.
We also have kind of a bit of a news item ourselves.
Yeah, something like it.
Something like this. Oh, we've got new merch. We've got the Solar Marine collection now available. That slideshow did some weird things that I wasn't expecting, but this is really exciting. We've been working on this for a while, and we have 2 new t-shirts. I've been wearing, of course, one of them. You might have seen this on Instagram. You've also got, so this is the Solar Marine like collegiate shirt, like there was a Solar Marine Academy, and we've got the Solar Marine emblem shirt, and Sandy's, of course, wearing...
I'm wearing the hat. It's like one of the only baseball caps that I actually like.
Yeah, I love them. And I was like, we have to make this because they're so very Danny, because they're distressed.
They actually have distress marks on them. I don't know. We have only got one, so we're not sure like how the distressing varies, but they do have distress marks on them.
Yeah, and then the Solar Marine, oh, I'm rotating the wrong way, beanie.
But you can pretty much now twin with your doll if they have the gray beanie.
Yeah, love the beanie, love the t-shirts. We also, of course, part of that collection was already released on Mariah's birthday, and that is the Vanquish the Entitled shirt. We'll take a look. So if you go to myladydisdain.com, we've got it in the main hero section, and of course also right underneath you can start browsing. As we promised earlier, all of the shirts come in both unisex and women's cut, so you can get whatever fits you best. And we'll be looking to, of course, expand these as we go. And
we have a lot of t-shirts like coming down. Well, John's been working a lot. He talks to me about it and does the work.
Yeah, well, and we also, of course, talk to our Discord, right? I mean, in the chat in Discord, we often end up having conversations like, "Oh, that would be a good T-shirt," or like, and try and figure out how that's going to work. So, if you haven't already, you should probably check out our Discord server. Go to myladydisdain.com/Discord to get an invite. So,
Kat just joined. Kat and Ben already have the Solar Marines shirts. We sent them.
You're never supposed to admit to giving people special treatment.
It was Ben's birthday.
Yes, we sent Ben some shirts. So they will be happy to know that we won't care if they start wearing them around now. And yeah. Hope you love these shirts as much as we do. They are up, available now, myladydisdain.com. Let's get back into...
one more thing, shout out for the kimono shirt here.
Yeah.
I put that on, so I just want to make sure I pointed this one out if you haven't seen it before.
Mariah would be very upset if you didn't.
That's right.
So, let's dig back into the news.
M01.
What is M01, Sandy?
M01 is a new anime doll.
Sculpt, specifically. And he did mention, I think he said an M2 as well. Like, we're talking Danny is working on new sculpts for anime, and it's pretty exciting. In fact, we've actually already seen her.
Mm-hmm. Now we get to see her right side up.
Right.
With a wig.
So we've talked about her a number of times, confused her with some other ones, and she has, just baffled us. And now we get to see her in her full, uniform. Now, Magic Jurgen asks, what is Future holding? So we'll take a quick break here. So Future is holding a piece, like an acrylic cylinder.
Yeah.
That was a part of packaging for a new piece of studio equipment.
And it's just, we didn't want to get rid of it because, you know how sometimes you get something in packaging that is just like really cool and you're like, I could do something with that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen for John very often. It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, so I was setting her up and I was like, I need to put this somewhere. I'll just give it to her.
And it actually fits in her hand. So it's kind of cool.
Yep. Anyway. So we have the M01 Sculpt. Let's see her actual full reveal. There she is.
She is very cool too.
She's kind of alien-esque to me. Like her eyes, probably the angle of them, maybe the makeup. But there's something a little otherworldly going on for me.
And I want to say something, Kat. I know Fortitude is your mini-me, but to me, this looks like Angry Cat.
I don't want to see Angry Cat.
You put some glasses on her. This is like Angry Determined Cat.
No.
It is.
No,
it
Angry
looks like
Cat.
To me.
It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So we have, yes, this new girl is very cool. This is obviously her master. She's starting in production, and a new series. I believe he did cite M1 and M2, so we haven't seen both of these yet. Joe Lewis says she looks similar to North. She's really pretty. And she does kind of.
Coloring-wise, she does, but her eye makeup is completely different.
Yeah, I mean, it's the angularness of the eyebrows a little bit there. So I was looking at North here, and he actually released a picture of essentially the paint masks, the instructions for the electroplating.
That they send out to the people that make the masks that they give out.
Yeah, so here, I mean, we've seen this before. It's a dime a dozen, and we've, we'll take a look here close up. You can see here they color it in these crazy colors to make a very clear distinction between which part of the mask that they're going to use, because they have to cut this all out of copper, basically. Mm-hmm. But whenever I get a bunch of paperwork like this, covered in Japanese, I like to run it through Google Lens and see what the heck's in here. And I can officially say that we know her code name. You can see it here. This little chunk here, these angular, do I still have that on? No. This sort of what looks like L and T to the English eye is surrounded by these little brackets. Those are quotes. And this says basically, paint mask name and then the name of the doll. This actually shows up here as well. And that is Ray. It is like the katakana for REI, Ray. And most of it, like, as far as like translating, like that's katakana is the sound. It's not like symbolism like kanji is. But it seems like whatever it's supposed to mean, Danny is calling this doll Ray. Which is a little confusing to me because of Raycon, but I'll get over it. It's just a code name. So yeah, I love finding those little things, and it's cool to see what her name is. I swear, Danny just drops this stuff to see if anybody notices.
You know, a couple of weeks ago on Facebook, someone got vinyl rings, and one of them said "light" on it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was rings from this sculpt, because of Ray, and how it can also mean light, and
could be versus being light Yagami.
Yeah.
It's possible. They said light as in it literally said the English word light.
No, it had like is it katakana that they put on their hiragana? I can never remember what's what.
I mean, it could
whatever
be.
They put on the back of those rings when you look at a sculpt.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, let's think of it this way: if it's on the back of the head, then it is the name for the sculpt itself.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of times, what the anime tends not to have, he tends not to use the letter and number, even though they have them.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's called this an M1.
Yep.
That the actual, instead of like the Semi-Real girls, which actually say G7 on the back,
mm-hmm.
the anime tends to have.
It says like, well, there's the Mirai says Mirai on
Yep.
it. I'm wondering if maybe like, you know, that the sculpt is like that. What's written on the ring is because this is the first doll with that sculpt. They probably put something on the back that might have to do with it.
It could be. I mean, it really just depends on if he's beginning to name anime sculpts or mark or brand anime sculpts with the code number, the M1, or not.
Right.
He hasn't typically. Like the F series, none of it really has. Like there's F1, 2, 3, 4, all those, but they don't have it printed on it. But I would hope that, being that he's got them printed on the Semi-Real, that he would be printing that number, and we should see M1 on the back of it going forward. And that would lead me to then assume, if he's standardizing for himself, that light on something would mean the sculpt for Light Yagami, because it's, you know, one-off and ends up getting his name.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is actually also kind of interesting for people who do face-ups to look at, because you can actually see, like, for example, that eye in the middle there, you can see that there's another color bit in the middle of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to see that depending on the light you're looking in.
Right.
I mean, it's over here, but it blends in pretty well.
Right. So, I mean, that kind of gives you a really clear idea of how they achieve that effect with that particular shape.
I also, you know, it is one of the things, you know, for face-ups artists, of like how they are both sharp and exact and soft at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is by layering these two sharp shapes on top of each other that have a lighter and a darker tone of the same color that starts to soften and blend and be a very rudimentary gradient. But in our eye, it's, you know, it just softens that a little bit, and our eye is not going to see the details.
Yeah, there's actually instructions on here that say to basically keep the points really sharp.
Yeah, he talked about probably on North's, because he talked about the faceplates specifically, how they, even with the instructions, they often will end up with rounded, you know, corners and things that they have to go back in and fix manually themselves. Magic Jerkin says, yeah, but I feel like face-up artists will have to work in reverse, since many use pencils over paint. And right, I mean, the way that they, you know, you would layer something is different because of the way you don't have the stencils essentially to work with.
So then Eugene asked, how does Culture Japan do face-ups? So they do, they use airbrushing.
And like perfect stencils. Like they actually destroy a doll in an electroplating process to make copper that is molded specifically to their face and is cut out to, in the coloration that you're seeing here. So you're going to get for this yellow part, you're going to get a copper face mold that has a hole for this yellow.
So that they can layer them on top of each other, like when you do a wall stencil and you have like parts that cover the other parts to protect them. So you've already done the under eye. You don't want to mess up the under eye. So your next one doesn't have the under eye in it. It has, the ring that goes around, and and they just keep changing what is visible and what is cut out in the mask to protect the previous version.
Yeah, if you look back through the timeline or through any of our previous newses as we've looked at things, there's lots of pictures each week. There's usually at least one of like a pile of face masks and the paint masks that he's got up next to a particular doll head. All right, that brings us to new releases. So we haven't even gotten to new releases. And there was a big drop this past week.
Yeah, huge drop.
Yeah, pretty big, yeah. I mean, he warned us, right? He gave us a few hours warning, and then he usually ends up having to delay because it usually takes longer than he expected. And
yeah, it took a while, and then he put out a tweet that said, it's taking me a little bit longer because I decided I want to put a doll out too.
So we got the new
nice sweater in greige.
Yep. And the it's nice.
If you have multiple previous versions, you might not need it, but if I'm sure we'll end up getting it at some point.
Yep. The tripwire boots in vinyl. Now, we need to get some of these.
Those don't look that bad. I think I would get the Well, I don't know. We don't have Chelsea boots.
We need right, and we need to get them so that we can decide whether or not we like the vinyl boots. And you can start to see the thing that concerns us most, which is the back of the boots. In order to put them in there, basically have a slit going down them, and I don't know. I don't know if it's going to bother me visually or not.
Yeah, with the tripwire, it doesn't bother me, but don't like the tripwire.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the tripwire, but yes, with the tripwire and everything wrapped around it and everything, it's like, oh, now I have a reason to have the rope wrapped around the shoe because there's no closure in the back. To be serious, the sort of loose likeness and grungy sort of look to these boots works with that.
Mm-hmm.
The Chelsea boots, you can see here, slit in the back again. And I don't know. It depends on how much they get stretched by the leg being in there. But I think I want to try them.
Yeah, I want a pair of the Chelsea boots, but I want the leather ones.
Now, we also had the pumps come out. Again, pumps have been out for a while, but a change has been made, and I kind of like it. All pumps are now matte only. No shiny.
Yeah, they were to look like patent, but they're now just a regular pump.
And the yellow ones as well. I think they look pretty good.
I liked the patent. I think that they're a great basic shoe if you're putting a classier outfit on your doll. I don't know that I like the matte that much. I'd have to see them in person.
And of course, there was an utter chaos bundle drop. The 3 bundle was sold out in a few minutes. And then the 2 I'm not sure when the two lasted a bit longer.
I'm going to speculate that in at least the biggest bundle, John actually pointed this out to me, we're probably getting that patch.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he would have chosen this graphic, which was specifically a patch that has been made of this graphic. I'm going to guess everyone's going to get a couple of these or something. Like they just ran and ordered a bunch,
Mm-hmm. Maybe testing out the service or something.
Yeah.
You never know.
But I that's the only guess that we have.
Because that's the only thing we've seen there is we have seen that particular patch.
So we have the Chaos bundle. There was also wig bundles, and a number of the other Chaos items in general got a restock.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing about the Chaos bundle was that he said if you ordered 4 bundles, if you ordered 4 bundles, you would guarantee to get different wig.
4 different packs.
4 different packs, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say that those packs wouldn't necessarily have some crossover in them. I don't know. But we'll see. And then, of course, Semi-Real Fortitude, who was suspected, then, we didn't even realize we were looking at her, and she was staring us in front of our face.
Yep.
And then she's announced, and she's out within a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So she is gorgeous. She definitely, to me, what makes Semi-Real Fortitude is the eyebrows, and very specifically the hairy eyebrows on the corner.
She is a natural girl.
Yes.
She's a very natural girl, and she's got my wig.
She does. So that is a really, really, really nice release. Can't wait to see who gets Semi-Real Fortitude.
Yeah, I mean, she did sell out. Magic Durgan pointed out that she sold out. She sold out, but she is also on the back soonish list.
Yeah, I mean, this is Fortitude. I mean, unless, she's not very popular. She's one of Danny's favorite dolls. The anime version is, one of the most popular dolls in his lineup. I doubt she's going anywhere.
Yeah, no, she's going to stick around for a while.
So that brings us to the wigs. Going the wrong way. The moment of Squee. This week's moment of Squee, I didn't actually have time to put feelers out again in the Discord, so I just went back to the thread I made last week. So this week's moment of Squee is brought to you by a beautiful little fool on Discord. This is Electra, and that's strength in T.
She is lovely.
Although I do have to say, Squee is not actually the feeling of the vibe.
There's quite a bit of cleave going on there.
Yeah.
Both you got a couple, did a double cleave. You got the side and the center.
There was only so many options, and she looks beautiful, as all the dolls do. So I was like, all right, it's our moment of strength. Love the shot, by the way. Very, very nicely done. I love the sort of disappearing, curved background, the shallow depth of field, watching everything going. It's a good shot. All right. So that means, of course, our time is near. But we've got a few questions, or a few minutes for some questions.
I don't know. I always have a few questions.
Yes. We have a few questions. Magic Durgan says, moment of smexy. And I think that could work.
Well, we got Future here in her Solar Marine uniform, so she could be the moment of Smexy.
Yep. So, everyone in chat, hit us up with your questions. We've got about 10 minutes or so, and then we can, before we wrap up, and we'll do our best to answer them to the extent of our knowledge or willingness to speculate wildly. When do you think Ambition will be back up for sale? Soon. When did Ambition go up?
She hasn't been up.
Yeah, Ambition hasn't been up for sale, Ethan. As far as we know. We have Ambition because of, like, people have gotten it out there. Like, she's gotten out there into the market. But no official releases.
Yeah, she has not yet been officially on the Smart Doll site. I mean, she's there in the in development section.
Measure says, when are we going to see what was in the box? I posted a picture of Ambition sitting on top of a Smart Doll box on Instagram. And this weekend, that's my goal. I've got some... you'll see some... I'm trying to do more trailers, kind of like I did with Raycon and, some of the story stuff that we've done. I'm actually going to try and be doing them with just doll unboxings. So it's a little bit more work, and we've been a little bit crammed with some of the other videos that we've been working on, like the Create Room video that we just did, talking about, what stops us from being able to be creative. Which, if you haven't seen, should check out. You might find, something relatable, and I think the process actually is pretty good for us.
Yeah, we actually got some value out of it.
So hopefully this weekend, Magic. All right, wait. So Jenna, I'm not. Should I order cinnamon chitose right now? I don't. What am I missing?
She just, we asked if we had,
if should you do it?
Is it a question?
Here we go. Do you want her? You know you want her.
She's kind of calling to you.
You should just. I mean, can you really say no to that face?
I mean, and it's a great time to buy.
Jenna, just buy her.
Just go ahead and order her.
Unless you shouldn't, in which case don't.
Yeah. Can you pay your rent?
Can you eat? Anna, our merch is still not available in VAT countries. We do apologize. We are working on it, but it is a shocking pain in the butt. We long time ago, because we wanted to be as lightweight as possible, made the decision not to go in and start an Etsy store for this. And they would have handled a lot of that for us. Outside of something like that, it is bad. It is so bad.
Shipping internationally and partnering with another company creates a whole lot of tape.
Yeah. Abby asks, where's a good place to buy secondhand dolls? Real quick answer. We've said this a number of times. We believe that the best place generally is the Facebook groups.
Yeah, Facebook groups, because there's places where you can get, you can go back and look at somebody's track record in Facebook by, just searching their name and seeing how long they've been there and success they've had in sales. You can get other people, members in the group, to give you recommendations. But right now, honestly, unless there's a specific discontinued doll you're looking for, buy from Danny. I mean, the you're not gonna get the price that you can get for a brand new doll right now.
Yeah.
I mean, because most people paid 500-ish plus for their dolls, so they're going to try and recoup that money. And right now you can get a brand new doll for $425. So yeah, definitely order from Danny.
Well, can't even keep up with the chat. I'm catching with the things talking when we were doing before. Jenna says, I think I'm going to do it. Yay! We love you too, Jenna. That's awesome. Danielle said that the video made her organize the room. Like,
nice. It didn't make me organize mine. No, I'm just joking because we're actually going to be doing some organizing coming up in the next segments. So,
okay, so that was Magic Jurgen says, "Are you doing naming videos / sessions anymore? And if you are, could we get a future resilient / dauntless? Asking for a friend. And yes, I'm one of those friends. My mother is the other one."
Future resilient and dauntless.
We can, so the naming videos, we're sort of in a bit of a rock and a hard place between, doing stuff that we like to do, like the naming videos,
Mm-hmm.
and that a core group, mostly like people that are in the chat here, right? Like to do the sort of more in-depth part of it. They are a fair amount of effort for they're about building our, sort of strengthening our core base of viewer, and they don't really grow our channel that much. And I'm talking stupid YouTube numbers, right?
Yeah.
Viewing, viewership, stuff like that. So we got away from it, and I think it was to some extent a mistake. We've done so many unboxings that YouTube maybe thinks that that's the only thing that people want from us. It's hard to say. So I definitely want to do some more of that. And at the very least, I think it's something that we could do as like on the Discord, as like let's hang out for a little while on some evening, and we'll research
some names.
We'll research names.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that we don't want to do them. We actually like doing those videos a lot. John actually came up with that concept early on, and it was really fun to do because we sit around here and do it. But it's like trying to figure out, what is going to satisfy like you guys that are our regular people, and also like get new people interested, and like the algorithm won't even show it to people if it's not something that we're known for. We found out.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, anyone who's done YouTube will tell you, like, watching those numbers can be a very disheartening thing. And it's like, it's like you hear people like how much they loved this thing, and then it's like 100 people watched it, and you have 1,200, we're up to like 1,500, subscribers,
and only like 100 and some people watch something. So
definitely going to make some effort to do more of what we love to do because we love to do it, and just make good content. But it's it's in the back of my head as like it's never something that really took off in terms of like people really liking, other than the one person who we were naming them for.
And if you like some of our videos that we've put out there, and you have friends that collect dolls other than Smart Doll, but you think that they'd get something out of those naming videos or the organization videos or something like that, and you share it with them, that's a big help.
And I would actually also say one of the reasons why it got a little bit harder to do the naming videos is that to me, it was pretty clear our process, and we were starting to repeat. Like,
yeah,
like the same. Like it was like, well, just go watch the video. You may not get ideas. You may not like any of those names, but you can see how we think about it, the categorization that we do and how we look for it. So, but yeah, I think definitely as a community event, at the very least, we'll start doing that again.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Doing it in the community.
Kelly, congratulations on getting your blue cheese. Barry Wing says we're terrible, but in a good way.
I think that must have been because of selling Chitose for Danny there.
Most likely. We're getting
the how did we meet question again.
Yeah, we should.
We could start it. We could do the first couple of beats, I guess. I had gotten my degree in acting and done some national tours I did a national tour. I did some other stuff, and decided I wanted a regular life, and I took 4 years off between professional acting and just doing it for fun, because it took some time to kind of wrap my brain around that. And I auditioned for a show at a well-known local community theater in Connecticut, and it was like the only theater that was doing Shakespeare, and that was what I wanted to come back for. And I got cast as Hermione in Shakespeare's Winter's Tale. And the guy that was originally playing my future son-in-law ended up did he get booted or did he drop out of the show?
I don't know.
Well, he ended up getting replaced by John, who had committed initially to taking a break from theater for a while because he had done like 4 shows back to back or something like that. And that's how we met. It was basically doing Winter's Tale with Hole in the Wall Theater in New Britain in Connecticut.
Yeah, okay. So you want to leave it there?
That's the first beat. Did you want to add anything else to that?
Well, I don't know. Because, like, you did weird stuff with my half of it. I mean, at the time, I had joined the theater, I don't know, the year and a half before that, whatever. Did 1776, so it was in a musical. Assistant directed another assistant directed / stage managed a show, and then was in another like original musical. That was the same time frame.
Yep.
So
I had seen you in that show.
Two musicals
before I met you.
Two musicals and assistant directing / stage managing, and I was doing posters for the show, like all the shows, or a chunk of them. And yeah, I was like, I'm done. That's why I didn't even audition for the Shakespeare, because I was like, this is too much. I've been living in this theater like Monday to Sunday, like 24/7. And I came in to give a final proof of the poster for Winter's Tale, and they're like, well,
we kind of need someone to play Florizel.
Yeah.
Barry Wing says, that's so cool. I didn't know you guys were actors. Yeah, actually, we've discussed this in the past couple of newses, but My Lady Disdain comes from Much Ado About Nothing, which is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I'm a big Shakespeare freak.
And we've always, we've wanted to do that show, which we did do that show, but did not get cast opposite of each other.
Yeah, I played Beatrice and he played Claudio, so we were halves of different couples.
Yeah.
And actually what's really funny is the other half of the couples was a married couple as well. So we swapped spouses for this play.
It was, I mean, one of the big things, and we won't get into this, I'll just leave this as a tease, but one of the big reasons why we wanted to do Benedict and Beatrice was because their relationship is very contentious, and they end up finally giving in at the end. And
there's things in it that tell you that they kind of have had something starting as a relationship before, but she got ticked off with him, he scorned her somehow, and then they fight like all the time, but they're actually in love. But they banter like crazy.
Yeah, and when we got together, when we realized that there was a spark between us, we proceeded to then hate each other for a year. We were at each other's throat for a year, and then mostly because of me, and then mostly because of me finally giving in before or as she was giving up on me, and said, yeah, this is stupid.
So yeah, and the fighting stopped pretty much at that point, and we just don't fight. It's not something that happens. We get concerned for each other, and we will express concern, but we don't actually ever go at it.
No.
We just don't.
No, I've had enough of those looks. In fact, there's we had a friend of mine who is a cartoonist. I commissioned a drawing of. Are you getting it?
I think I can.
Is it up on the wall?
Hey Siri, turn on the family room.
A friend of mine, Joel Duggan. He's a cartoonist out of Halifax. And we commissioned a.
Oh, it's adhered to the wall. I didn't realize it was like.
What do you mean it's adhered to the?
It's like mounted to the wall. It's not on a hook.
It's probably like. Never mind. Anyway, so we basically had him sort of draw us in our state that we were, which was us leaning across the bar, sort of flirting with each other.
With like martinis and...
Yeah, martini glasses. And behind my hand was, I'm holding a mace behind my back, and she's holding like 3 daggers behind her back.
Like in my fingers, like tucked behind my back. It's very funny.
So, and yeah, we entitled the piece, The Course of True Love Never Did Run Smooth. So, that is... the rough
so
of how we met.
Shakespeare actors met in theater, fought like crazy.
We have been able to work opposite of each other. We got to do Proof together, which was one of the best shows I've ever done.
I love doing Proof. Proof was so good.
You were amazing in it.
Well, thank you.
And then of course we've directed and produced, together. So.
The Tennant Tate version of Much Ado About Nothing is still my #1 version. I love David Tennant. I would say that in terms of I liked that version. It was very enlightening and different for me. But my favorite is I like the Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson version. I like that classic work.
Yep. So... I am sorry if we've missed some of the questions in there. We apologize. But we are going to call it a day with one last question. How long have you been married? What are we at?
Coming up on 16 years.
So, not too shabby.
Yep.
So, thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a great week. And just as a reminder, if you do have any issues with orders with stores that have been affected by the ban, just treat the interactions with love and respect.
And check out the Solar Marine stuff on our MyLadyDisdain.com. And I think that's about it. That does it for us for tonight, right?
Yep. Have a great week, everybody.
We'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.